through the entire survey, but I take you to quote key element, which is we had 422 responses to the survey. This is in relation to the 5-year plan. Of that 422, 387 are own or rent a home in the village full time. It doesn't mean they're here full time, but they own or they rent, which to me says this survey got the results of the people who are paying the bill, which are the taxpayers. What I found disappointing is we got very few responses from the people who visit each year. And that's after I visited camps and gave them PDFs that they could send out as though they want to. So either that didn't work, either they respond. So I'm disappointed in that we didn't get a response from the people who are yearly visitors because we want to do things to keep them coming back. But we did get. So that's the audience. We asked two questions that are pertinent to today's discussion, and one of them was, tell us where we should prioritize our focus in Parks and Rec with respect to land, swimming access, 59%, followed by boating access. So you're at 90% that want either swimming, boating, DNR. When you go to second place, it's access, boating access, whether it's kayak. Second was 51%. So 80% want boat access. So our two priorities are the beach and to some extent the boat launch. So with that being the case, we've had probably 3 or 4 meetings with respect to the 5-year plan, a couple of workshops meeting to it, and our team decided that we're going to put together a plan. Let's see the various things that we're working on. And the Langland ADA received extraordinarily well. The first year that we did the Langland Walkway, we only did a few sections, and it was really sort of a test. We're spending 20 grand of the township's money to replace the Moby mats. Back in 14, when we got that grant, ADA, Moby mats were acceptable for ADA, but we all know what happened to those. They just don't work. So we tried this year 1. We got a fantastic response to it. So last year, the board allowed me another $20,000. And we brought it all the way down to the bottom of the beach. And sorry for the bad picture, but that's all I've got. And then we added benches and this little short 20-foot walkway. And again, in the survey, I think it says, let's go on the beach, and anecdotally, anytime we're out there, whether it's the guys that are installing it, whether it's man cleaning it, or whatever it is, we get rave reviews. And I've been told by, let me put that on the website. This is the kind of thing we really want happening. So we're getting a lot of good response to it. And the team proposed, why don't we go to the board with our budget this year? And instead of just asking for $20,000 and getting another 80 feet, why don't we ask for $20,000, go to MCCF to see if we can't get a match and actually extend it so that it looks like
So you're gonna go north and south with it more. So
we're gonna come down the south. I'm sorry, the north. We're gonna pick it up like where the concrete is. We're gonna pick it up there, go down to where it's flat, put in 2 special angled pieces to match it up, and we're gonna have a U that put 4 more benches in it. You'll still not be ADA on the north side because the slope is too much, but we get barely ADA on the south side depending upon the way we get it. So the question is, we know we also have another grant going in for this spring, and I met with CCF and it's a conversation with them because there's discussion out there about you can't have two at the same time and just wanted to get some clarity. And so I met with Sarah and Shelley and they said, that's not something do two at one time. So we spoke for them. They were really excited. They really liked we had put something like this together, shows here are our projects, here are the places we think that we can get some funding. Here's the fiscal year that we want to do it in. And if we mentioned CC in this case, I now to put in some fitness stations at North Point, which is another. So send it to you, yeah. But given the fact that first deadline, we want this meeting just find out, are you guys okay that I put in the inquiry process, which is step one with MCC, and I say ask them, is this the kind of project you would consider? And if they say it is, then we would have to do the application, and
I'm sure they would think.
but we have to go through that process. And what I've got is a little bit of a time squeeze in that your meeting is mid-month, their deadline is the first. And so if I wait
Why
on
the
a
meeting is,
yes. So if you guys are for that,
someone want to make a motion?
should.
So what's the 40 for the DNR boat launch?
The 40 would be what I guessed to be the MCC contribution, not knowing what the actual.
Like we're doing?
Yes.
What?
Wayland, okay. So, no, but I think the dollar chip funded is about right?
Yeah, because I asked for 10 to be put in the budget.
Okay,
So meaning anticipating asphalt costs have gone up.
Same gone down a hair. So,
Okay.
but the
But-
cost is still probably gonna go up.
Yeah, and the other concern I have, which I won't have a good answer for till our meeting Tuesday, slight. But
Something
Yes.
we're gonna pay for?
part of it, I'm going to that meeting because it's like,
We have
where's
a
this
great
coming
idea.
This coming,
Where's
yeah,
your skin in the game?
Yeah. So anyway, that's why I get to.
just everybody knows. This is a great. Just like the fact that there's a plan in place because it helps them with their next year five.
What should you think would think?
Jim, way back, based on what the scope of that project, we want to say the number was like 75. Well, maybe it was 8. So we would be 10 and they would be 3.
Southern.
Bingo. That's the point.
And
That's right.
they're very, very diplomatic and very cautious not to instruct us what to do.
Now, they did say, well, what about, could you make it a single grant fee? grant with two components. And I said, okay, that's something we could think about. But having done one of these before, questions you, MCCF, asked are very, very specific, and the answer
To the
to
project.
your questions would be very different on the DNR versus this one. So it would be a bit complicated.
One is walking and one is.
But they said, well, it's within her, it's up to the board to say, we'll do this part.
I'm sure they'll be,
that.
I'm sure they'll look at both unfavorably. We just have to figure out how to get that done.
Well, so here's my point. I think Cindy, I don't want to speak for you, but she's going to do some research. I'm not doing anything right now, other than when we're done here, I'm going to head down south. On Monday, I'm going to put the survey up on the website. Wait to, so with Cindy, and sometime next week, make a decision what we think is the best way to go. We just wanted to, my position is, if it compromises that one, then I think we should hold. But if there's a way to get them both, either together or separately, let's go for it. But I'm trying to get a feel from them. My worry is, if they do two for Onekama, are they fearful that they'll get pushback from all the other communities? And when you ask that question, you don't get an answer. So I don't know.
So Vic called me about this. I said, what about if we do a water access and combine? What I said to him is, when I wrote the grant for the engineering, I intentionally wrote the grant to say this is phase one of a project and gave them the whole scope. And I did that for a couple of reasons. One is to let them know what we're planning on doing.
Right.
The second part is, well, but also, if they kind of approve this, it's like they're almost saying, yeah. I mean, because why would you allow this when you know? So I now feel putting the two together could muddy the waters. Separately, I am trying to have lunch with Lauren. To that discussion to do it.
Sure.
So,
Let's have two applications in at once.
They will.
I mean,
I think a joint one would be very clunky.
Well, because they're gonna ask questions in totally different stuff.
Right, I'm just bringing to you what they said. My inclination is to have two, but my worry is that if we get two, will they be reluctant to give us two? If they,
No.
okay, if
no, they've been given communities with.
so that's the case.
Scoring.
If it's
I mean,
merit, it's about merit of what you're doing.
Absolutely.
So both of these have high
Well,
merits. This isn't just.
They score grants. And then if they, so let's just say as an example, which has not happened for a couple cycles, let's just say this cycle, they had far more grants than the money they were gonna give out. Okay. Which you said has never happened.
Yes.
I do think it is
Say. We have a submission, and that was my inclination. I just wasn't about to put second one in while Cindy's was in, and that's how I wanted to.
sparking.
Yeah,
Well, it does. I mean, it just keeps getting taller and taller. So,
It's always been this.
yeah, right.
They told me.
Well, for the older population who would like to go look at the walk, see a sunset, it's, there's like 2 spots you can park now to actually see it. But if you could have an ADA walkway that you could take somebody down in a wheelchair or a walker,
Huge difference.
and we have 5 or 6 benches now.
Even a mom with a baby.
Yeah, stroller, yeah.
That's why Manistee did.
Yeah.
Years ago, because anybody that has a physical challenge, regardless of age,
Yes.
I go walking through sand.
The,
Time to go.
So, I'm gathering that it's okay for me to do the inquiry at this point, and we'll go ahead and go.
Next question.
Discussion before the first one.
All right, we did,
Steer.
but it, mine had to do with.
You can lead the horse to water sometimes.
Question wasn't about the motion, it was about his charm.
Make it a motion, young lady.
Okay,
Second now.
Second that.
April 1st deadline. So shoot to $150,000, and that project has gone from 265 to 285. Export grant is favors communities with no parks one. So if we didn't get it, we gentlemen was grant route analyzed and so talked to Jeremy, and the suggestion is we should apply for both the trust fund grant and the export grant. The decision which way we would go, but that's something that we have to do by April 1st of this year. Funding wouldn't happen until next fiscal year anyway. Services, I've interviewed this guy, I've got his resume, he can get it done in time, because Lipinski did an extraordinary amount of work on the original submission, and we just need to update the work that he's done.
He devoted 2 years of his life to that.
It was done very, very well, and so there are different scoring criteria now for the level of affordability. It depends on who else is doing it in their positions. And anyway, saying is, if you look at these projects, we have that one, which would require $75,000. I just threw in $40,000. We're looking at a fitness court studio for Feldat. Again, these are just things we're talking about, but we're talking about big, then we have the Trails project, which we think the funding will come required in 28, 29 in the event that we go forward with it. And that's another very substantial one. So I'm just saying that while I think the board is allowing us to move forward, make recommendations, I wonder if would like us to sit down and go through this plan and just say you're crazy or you're not crazy. So that's just a question I posed.
What is the fitness court at?
Super cool. Super cool.
It You see.
It's 270, so what are you doing for 270?
It's the key question. Is this the structure? It's at the ground, but it has equipment on it and it has a yoga court as well.
Yoga or Zumba.
What's a
It's just a.
It's like a
So
flat ground.
instead of just having like 10 or 12 exercise stations in
Yeah.
one location, it would then have an open space where you could do yoga without getting
Muddy.
sand in your bikini.
Well, but-
Or Zumba or.
Hold on. This is the reason that, because all this has happened very, very quickly. I'm trying to gather all this, make a really nice presentation.
Well, obviously, we probably can't do it all by the amount of match, okay? So we need to hear them all and then select. Says what also is allowed over there by the people, whatever.
If they do. Give you some idea, but again, it's not what I would present if we actually had a meeting. But it's a 40 by 40 square that has exercise equipment that is all body weight exercise equipment. This is just the half version of it. The other half version side of it. So the vision would be when you come, and this really fits into the whole M22 byway project. When you come into Onekama, the first town, the first thing you see is an exercise thing. And one of the aspects of this is there's a wall that's visible. See this wall here? So this can be their standard stuff, which comes with the package, or if you have a local artist that wants to do something here, they will give you a grant to support the local artist. So when I put in that 270, I put in the most it would absolutely be. Their grant is 50. You'd have to go to DNR. But then the other thing is you're not going to get DNR grants every single year because one of the criteria is when did we give you the last grant? And it becomes part of it. There's a whole lot here. And my thought was, like to, as big as this is, put together a package that's absolutely inclusive, bring it to the, just see how we're have a conversation about it. We'll make the recommendations, but
Well, then we should.
they have agencies in every state, and it's not them that's giving the grant. Jennifer, who was giving the grant?
It's Spectrum,
Spectrum has,
not Spectrum. Is that right?
no, Spectrum is, no.
It's not-
Blue
That's
Shield.
what it looks
Nope, it's not Blue Cross, Blue Shield. It's Priority / Spectrum.
One more. Okay.
Priority.
That's the fitness course, and on the other side is just the,
You think that?
well, that's what we're trying to find out. It's one in,
Green Lake Township,
Green
which is essentially Interlock.
you know,
Where's that at? Like, six.
So, remember when I was telling you where the disc golf is? If you were to stay right on, what is that, Euchre Road 6, whatever, that goes into, that's on Euchre Road. But the road that goes back towards 31 through Interlock and.
Yeah, we're on.
But you know where their park is, they have a lovely community park, it's there.
It's right there.
this is a small studio and a fitness court. this team does things like scoring. We talked about, what, did we do this at Pardon and maybe actually get people to go there? Did we do this at, North Point where we have game? They score, scoring things is this visible? Is this on a main trail? And they particularly give you points if it's by a trail. So if the trail project goes, which right now has the trail going behind the parking at Belden, which we kind of determined isn't a structure, then this is adjoining the trail. So that gets us more points. So we would have a good chance of winning that part of it, but we still need to go somewhere else and get money. You say, no. You, so that, anyway, this presentation, a little bit show time. The duty. I'm done with the exception of the inventory. That's very, very cumbersome, but we'll have that done by August, which is, I think that's our deadline to get it all done. The other thing that I've done is there's five, so the 5-year plan, description, administrative, goals and objectives, and that sort of thing. And I put in a spreadsheet, what we had last time, what we have this time, what we have this time. I'm gonna forward it to the board just so that you can look at it. This will all unfold in March, April, May. You guys